Multiple videos where Iran now last evening launched barrage of ballistic missiles at Israel. Missile attack that forced Israelis to take shelter in bunkers as Israel's Iron Dome was seen intercepting incoming missiles mid-air. IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Forces, has claimed that nearly 180 of those missiles that were fired by Iran into Israeli territory. As the Iranian forces say that missiles targeted Israel's military bases, Israel, meanwhile, has warned Iran that the attack will have consequences. Even when it comes to President Joe Biden, who has ordered deployment of U.S. Army in the Middle East, let's quickly explain the pictures that have been coming in from last evening. Ever since this escalation has now begun on part of Iran, Israel has now issued a warning saying that there would be consequences and Iran would have to pay for the actions. As you can see, multiple videos that have been doing the rounds, there have been hundreds of ballistic missiles, a warning and alert that was already sounded when it comes to the United States to Israel that there is a possibility that there could be a counter from Iran's side, and this is exactly what happened when it comes to the turn of event. Let's in the meantime play out and get you what has been the first response coming in from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu right after Iran attack. He says that Iran will have to pay for its actions. Netanyahu, meanwhile, has thanked the United States for its support, saying that Israel will soon answer Iran for its actions.
הערב איראן שוב תקפה את ישראל במאות טילים. המתקפה הזאת נכשלה. היא סוכלה בזכות מערך ההגנה האווירי של ישראל, שהוא המתקדם ביותר בעולם, ואני מברך את צה"ל על ההישג המרשים. היא גם סוכלה בזכות הערנות והאחריות שגיליתם אתם, אזרחי ישראל. ואני מודה גם לארצות הברית על תמיכתה במאמץ ההגנה שלנו. איראן עשתה הערב טעות גדולה, והיא תשלם על כך. המשטר באיראן לא מבין את נחישותנו להגן על עצמנו ואת נחישותנו לגמול לאויבינו. אלה שלא מבינים זאת, הם יבינו. נעמוד בכלל שקבענו. מי שתוקף אותנו, אנחנו תוקפים אותו. זה נכון בכל מקום שאנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע. זה נכון ליהודה ושומרון, זה נכון לעזה, ללבנון, לתימן, לסוריה, וזה נכון גם לאיראן. אנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע בכל מקום.
That is Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Iran attacked Israel with hundreds of missiles. This attack failed. He says that it was thwarted thanks to Israel's air defense system, which is the most advanced in the world. He also congratulated the Israeli Defense Forces for their impressive achievement. He said that also thwarted thanks when it comes to the vigilance and also the responsibility that has been shown by the citizens of Israel. And Rishabh is also with us right now. And Srinjoy Chaudhary also joining us right now. Let's get in a word from Srinjoy as well. Srinjoy, this massive escalation, however, it was being anticipated that Iran soon would respond. However, Benjamin Netanyahu says that Iran would now have to pay for its actions.
Yes, which basically means that things will get even worse, which means that Iran will now have to face the brunt of either air attacks or perhaps Israeli missiles. Maybe the Americans would get involved. We have already seen this huge escalation, Iran firing about 200 missiles. Now you will see Israel firing a large number of missiles. Iran is a much larger country with a bigger population. It would be harder to put everybody as Israel has managed to do because they have done it very, very systematically, methodically, of having bomb shelters and so on. If Iran faces an attack of 200 missiles, there are bound to be casualties. Clearly, this is a world that is going haywire in one sense because the war is widening, the war is spreading. American aircraft carriers are also close by. They have the ability to fire cruise missiles. Now, if that happens, then it becomes an even bigger war. So at this point, we aren't sure exactly what the Israelis will do, but Netanyahu has promised to take action. and we will have to see how that happens, whether it's an air attack, whether it's a missile attack. All those things are possible. Let's not forget that Israel is a nuclear power. Iran aims to have nuclear weapons, and they haven't got there as yet, is the general assessment.
Well, of course, Israel being the only country rather in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons. But however, when it comes to an escalation, and that too to such an extent, now it is being said, as far as Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying, that Iran made a big mistake and they will pay for it. The regime in Iran does not understand the determination of Israel to defend ourselves, and they will retaliate against their enemies. In the meantime, let's also listen in when it comes to Iran launching dozens of ballistic missiles on Israel, forcing Israeli citizens to rush to bomb shelters, with Israel's Iron Dome that was seen in action intercepting the missiles mid-air. As it is being said, only a few of them that hit central and southern areas in Israel. Sirens that blared across the country, with the IDF also claiming that at least 180 of those missiles that were launched by Iran. And Israel meanwhile decided timely to close its airspace following the attack. Shortly after that, we are also looking, when it comes to Jordan, that also announced temporary closure of its airspace, urging the citizens to stay home for safety. With Iran's Revolutionary Guards also issuing a statement on missile attack, calling it as a response to the assassination when it comes to Hassan Nasrallah, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, and also senior Iranian military unit General Abbas. As the statement said, that Iran carried out the attack as per the directions of the Supreme Council, and that dozens of missiles were launched to target military bases in Israel. Now, Israeli military in return has warned Iran that the attack would have consequences, with US President Joe Biden also ordering deployment of US Army in the Middle East to assist Israel in the wake of Iranian rocket attacks.
Iran launched a large-scale attack of over 180 ballistic missiles directly from Iranian soil at the State of Israel. There were a small number of hits in the center of Israel and some other hits in the southern Israel. The majority of the incoming missiles were intercepted by Israel and a defensive coalition led by the United States. Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation. There will be consequences. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are at the highest levels of readiness. Our operational plans are ready. We will respond wherever, whenever, and however we choose.
Obviously, this is a significant escalation by Iran, a significant event, and it is equally significant that we were able to step up with Israel and create a situation in which no one was killed in this attack in Israel, so far as we know at this time. We are now going to look at what the appropriate next steps are to secure, first and foremost, American interests, and then to promote stability to the maximum extent possible.
In the meantime, get you exactly when it comes to the United Nations here is concerned, with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also condemning the broadening of Middle East conflict and called for an immediate de-escalation. Taking to social media platform, he asserted that this must stop and appealed for ceasefire. But moments later, Israel has reacted to Guterres' post, saying that the UN has failed to point out when it comes to Iran being responsible for firing 180 missiles targeting 10 million Israeli civilians.
This morning, in a statement, the Secretary General expressed his extreme concern with the escalation of the conflict in Lebanon. He appeals for an immediate ceasefire. An all-out war must be avoided at all costs, he said, and the territorial integrity of Lebanon must be respected. The Secretary General spoke earlier this morning to Prime Minister Najib Mikati of Lebanon. He told the Prime Minister that the United Nations system in Lebanon was fully mobilized to assist all those in need in the country. The Secretary General's representatives on the ground will continue their efforts to do everything possible to de-escalate the situation.
Well, let's in the meantime talk about exactly when it comes to the escalation that began when it comes to Iran launching missiles at Israel. United States on its part saying that when it comes to US interests that are paramount, but when it comes to troop deployment, that has also been done as a precautionary measure. Israel, meanwhile, has vowed retaliation, saying that Iran would have to pay for its actions. There would be consequences. And of course, India also raising concerns. Remember, recently, Prime Minister Modi had a word with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu over growing concerns when it comes to Middle East and West Asia that he had mentioned. Srinjoy, this is as far as, of course, when it comes to interests of multiple countries. The world already is now waking up and reacting to the escalation that is now happening in the Middle East.
Yes, that's bound to happen. First of all, India is a responsible country, as a country that seeks to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It's very clearly a big matter. Secondly, India has civilizational ties with Iran. India and Israel have very, very close ties. India is one of a country that works with Israel on military issues, particularly. A lot of Indian military equipment is Israeli. Thirdly, and this is a matter of great concern to India, India's economy depends on oil, and India's being one of the largest importers of petroleum products in the world. And once there is a war in the Middle East, immediately the price of petroleum will shoot up. Now, if that happens, it has enormous consequences for the Indian economy. So in every way, a country like India and other South countries will be negatively affected if this war goes on.
All right. This escalation that has now begun, let's also get out when it comes to the reactions coming in from the United States as well, because the concerns that have now been raised, of course, US saying that it stands firmly with Israel. The Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, said that Iran fired nearly 200 ballistic missiles at Israel, saying that this is totally unacceptable and the entire world should condemn Iran's action.
This meeting, let me just say this. A few hours ago, Iran, for the second time in the space of 5 months, launched a direct attack on Israel, including some 200 ballistic missiles. This is totally unacceptable, and the entire world should condemn it. Initial reports suggest that Israel, with the active support of the United States and other partners, effectively defeated this attack. We demonstrated once again our commitment to Israel's defense. We'll remain in very close touch with Israel and other partners in the region in the hours and days ahead.
So today, Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles at Israel in a reckless and brazen attack. I condemn this attack unequivocally. I'm clear-eyed. Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East, and today's attack on Israel only further demonstrates that fact. Earlier today, I was in the Situation Room with President Biden and our national security team as we monitored the attack in real time and ensured that the protection of U.S. personnel in the region is paramount. I fully support President Biden's order for the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles targeting Israel, just as we did in April. We are still assessing the impact, but initial indications are that Israel, with our assistance, was able to defeat this attack. Our joint defenses have been effective, and this operation and successful cooperation saved many innocent lives. As I have said, I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist militias. My commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, American interests, and innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and backed terrorist proxies. We will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend U.S. forces and interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists. And we will continue to work with our allies and partners to disrupt Iran's aggressive behavior and hold them accountable.
Well, that is